Duke domination. I mean, Duke wins this game 100-56. I think the only thing in doubt by the end of this game was whether Duke was going to get to 100. There was a brief period of time at the end where they were missing some threes, and then Darren Harris gets a steal and knocks down both free throws to get us there. There was, you know, I thought Duke would play well. I had them winning this game, I think by 30 coming into it, but there's still some not doubt coming into the game as to whether Duke would win, but would they be able to maintain their level of play? And they did more than that. Again, a total team effort. And in this one, it was all 9 guys who contributed to the win here this evening. And I thought early on they did a really good job of establishing Gangba inside. They were playing through Gangba early, and he was making either scoring or dishing. And then, boy, then it was just Cam Boozer. They just had nothing for Cam Boozer. He every time he drove to the rim, he either scored or was fouled. He had 24 points in 24 minutes. We'll get to the stats in a little bit here. But, Duke was up 16-4 after the first segment. And Coach Shrewsbury had already picked up a technical foul. I guess at first, in real time, I thought it was a really ill-advised technical foul. Now, I'll give him some credit, even though I think it's not looking great for Coach Shrewsbury in that the fouls did even up after that point. I didn't think he had much of a case, though. I thought the fouls on Notre Dame early were very obvious fouls, and there wasn't much really on the Duke side that would have been fouls. The only thing that I thought the refs missed was a very obvious goaltend on Dame Sarr, which would have given Notre Dame a couple of points early, where it seemed like Sarr almost almost forgot where he was and was playing with those old European rules. But things I loved early on, the defense. I mean, my dad and I, JD and I were talking about it, heading into this game. Can they keep up that level of defense that they've had the last handful of games here? And they sure did. They forced a shot clock violation early. Dame Sarr was out pressuring the guard play for Notre Dame. Foster and Evans were locked in on the shooters in Serta and Shrewsbury for Notre Dame. And I just felt like they're just playing on a string. Like everyone was rotating well. The defense just is playing at such an elite level, and it's a great place to be now where we are late in February. And we've got a tough last three games left of the regular season. Can you guys believe that? 3 more regular season games left this season. It is crazy how fast this season has flown by. And for me, this team, I think, has become really enjoyable to watch. And then I'm sure a lot of you guys caught the Duke Blue Planet, bigger than ESPN, video that they put out. And my favorite part was the halftime talk. It had nothing to do with Coach Shire. It was all the players getting involved, whether it was Evans talking about how there should be a low man, and then somebody should be taking 2 on the wing and rotating. Dame Sarr talking about how Michigan wasn't defending well in transition. We've got to get the ball up quickly, get the ball to Cam so he could take advantage of the mismatches. Evans saying to Caden, we need you to be more available so we can get the ball to you and play faster. And all of that stuff. And then Malik also getting in there. And all of that to me is like what you want to see in terms of this being player-led, player-driven. They didn't I don't know how much they needed Shire, quite frankly, which in a game of that I mean, obviously they needed Shire, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is that this team is really connected. They know how to hold each other accountable without it being a case of anyone really being like negative towards one another. It's all about lifting each other up, and that is just a beautiful thing to see from a basketball team that hasn't been together all that long. These guys, some of these guys, certainly a handful, have been back since last season, but it's relatively a new group of guys each year, right? And so to build that level of connectivity, connectivity, I should say, um, is really special. And it's showing on the court with their level of defensive play. And then their offense has really started to get to another gear here late in the season, which I think is going to be really important because you never know. We're going to run into really good teams that are going to be able to make tough shots, and you're going to need to be able to score a little bit more in those games. And the only thing, for me, Boozer, dominant. I mean, we talked about it before. Notre Dame had no answers for him, and then I didn't think he really even forced the matter either. And I actually liked the fact he was able to really sit the final 13 minutes of this game. He got his numbers and got rest. It's a very rare set of circumstances there. You had Dame Sarr's defense hitting a couple of corner threes as well. I love the play where he poked the ball away from Sir Muhammad and then was able to finish. There was a little bit of contact there, but we'll let that one go. Evans hit some shots. I thought he was doing a nice job of hitting Cam Boozer on the pocket passes off the short roll action there. Foster was hitting his shots. Everyone got involved. Off the bench, Malik Brown did his thing, and boy, did Malik Brown do his thing. I mean, he didn't. I don't think he scored. We'll get to stats in just a moment here, but rebounding, deflections. I think my favorite play of the evening was his block on Shrewsbury when he missed his three, but then came back and he blocked it with his elbow. That was crazy. And he had a couple of steals as well. Hemenia and Caden didn't score the ball great, but competed defensively. Caden had a number of assists. Nick was competing on the glass. Like, they did what we need from them, and if they score, it's a bonus. And then, to me, the highlight of this game, Darren Harris. It was Darren Harris' game. He got into the game with about 5-6 minutes left in the first half, and was showing off some hustle, some rebounding and defense. He had a drive to the basket, and then he had the play near the end of the first half where he got a three, missed it, got the ball back, drove and turned it over. And I was a little bit worried, like, are we going to get more Darren Harris opportunities? Because I think you got to give him a chance to play through that. And then we got him in pretty early in the second half because of how big of a margin this game was. And he just played really well, knocking down threes. You could see he was playing with confidence, which was really great. Hustling as he has done all year in his limited opportunities, getting on the floor, picking up loose balls, and then making some plays for his teammates. So really great DH minutes for Duke in this really monster performance by the Blue Devils. The only negative for me in this game, if there's going to be one thing to pick out here, it's the bigs getting in foul trouble, which is kind of ironic because the Michigan game I thought would be the game they would get in foul trouble based off the matchups. This game, both our bigs had 4 fouls, and Pat in particular had them pretty early. He got his second foul with about 12 minutes left in the first half, and then he had 4 fouls with just under 18 minutes in the second half. It's got to be better than that for Big Pat because we know how important he is for this Duke team to have him on the court, and Malik also with 4 fouls. Now, neither guy fouled out, but still, you don't want to be in that situation. I do think, though, spinning that into a positive, I think because of how Nick's playing, and also, frankly, the margin of this game, less concerned. I think we can get away with minutes without the 2 bigs and having Cam as the center because Nick is really rebounding well, playing good defense. So it's not a good thing, don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit less concerned than I was a couple of weeks ago with that. So, stats for this one. And be sure, subscribe to the channel. I always forget. Like this video, and let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'll get to you guys in just a moment here. No JD tonight. He is traveling. We'll be back for the Virginia game. And then we're going to have a little bit of an abbreviated preview for the NC State game is the goal. We'll be actually out in Dallas, hoping, fingers crossed, to see Cooper out there. He has missed the last couple of games, so hoping to see him. But nonetheless, should be able to see Jared McCain, so that should be fun. Duke shot 46% from the field, 36% from three, 89. I mean, JD misses a game. They shoot 89% from the free throw line. It's his one thing with this team. I think he should not watch games moving forward. Maybe we'll shoot free throws a little bit better. I mean, 34 of 38 is pretty outrageous as a group. And even the field goal and three-point percentage was a little bit deflated by the missing some shots in garbage time in the last couple of minutes there. Cam had 24 points. Actually, one quick thing before we go through the individual stats. They held Notre Dame to 37% from the field, 27% from three, and 9 assists to 15 Notre Dame turnovers, and out-rebounded Notre Dame 49 to 27. Now, some of that is just Notre Dame was missing a lot more shots than Duke, but Duke 14 offensive rebounds to 5 for Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame, they've got Carson Tout, and that's really their best rebounder. But go out and do what you do. Dominate the glass, and that's what Duke did in this game. There was no let-up whatsoever after the big Michigan win. So I was starting to say a little bit ago, Boozer, 24 points, 24 minutes, 12 of 14 from the free throw line, 13 boards, a couple assists, 3 steals. As a collective, this game felt like a team no-hitter. It was just like limiting Notre Dame to 56 points, shooting as well as they did as a team. Pat had 13 points in 15 minutes, 3 rebounds, couple assists, 3 turnovers for Big Pat, and the 4 fouls. So a couple of things he could clean up on for sure, which is good. Heading into the Virginia game, some things on tape that could be cleaned up. Dame Sarr had 8 points, 5 boards, couple of steals, couple of corner threes at the end of the first half. He just loves those corner threes, and that's where we need to get him his looks from. And then, nice finish off of his steal in the first half. Evans had 10 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. Probably going to need him to shoot the ball a little bit better against Virginia. But I'm not worried about Evans. He didn't, because of the margin and then the way Darren Harris was playing, he didn't get extended minutes. Foster, though, really good game from C. Foss. 13 points, 3 of 5 from 3. Picking up where he left off from the Michigan game. Couple of boards, 3 assists, and his usual really good defense. Both those guys, Foster and Evans, did a really good job on Serta and Shrewsbury, who, let's just look at that really quickly, combined for 2 of 10 from 3 and 14 points. And those guys were averaging about 8 threes a game in terms of attempts and shooting around 35%. So says a lot about Foster and Evans and their attention to detail. Malik Brown, no points, but he did have 10 boards, couple assists, 3 steals, and a block, and a number of deflections. The doctor of deflections. It has been a lot of fun watching this guy in the Duke uniform the past couple of seasons. And as Kevin Brown was saying, despite his lack of playing time, I do think I don't know. I can't say I've watched enough of the other teams in the ACC to say he should be the ACC Sixth Man of the Year, but I will say he should be in that top 3 because of what he does defensively, and then also offensively what he does with his screening and passing. Nick had 6 points and 6 boards, a couple assists as well. Caden finished with 10 points. Honestly, didn't realize he had that many. I guess he got a lot late. I definitely was kind of stopped taking notes as we got deeper into this one. 3 boards, 4 assists for Caden. Darren Harris had 16 points in 17 minutes. Couple of boards, 1 assist, couple of turnovers, but a couple of steals. And then Jack Scott and Cam Sheffield got 4 minutes in this one. And Jack Scott came in and got a nice steal and then a dime to Darren Harris for the transition bucket. So really good to see both of those guys get some minutes here. And for the medals in this one, before we that's the wrong one. There we go. Before we head to the chat, I'm going with Cam. I mean, the guy was just dominant for the gold. Silver, Darren Harris. He really great Darren Harris game. Really happy for the guy. And then bronze, I'm going with Cephas. I thought he had a complete game, offense and defense in this one. There's a number of guys, though, I think you could have went for the bronze medal. So let's see what you guys have to say here in the chat. Laura says, awesome win. ACBC demolition. And Laura says, cruising into March Madness. That's right, guys. We are we're playing really well now at the end of February. And Deal DC 1898. Yeah, that was pretty funny. When Kevin Brown was talking about, who is it, the Chicago Regiment or some First Regiment or something had. So we've got the second biggest margin of defeat now if that held up against Notre Dame after them in 1898. Wes says, let's go Duke. I predicted that they would win at least by 40. You certainly did, Wes. Good prediction there. Joe M., that could have been an email. Certainly after the first 15 minutes of that one, it was just a matter of what the margin would be. ACBC, Darren Harris, 16 points in 17 minutes. Big Darren Harris game in this one. And as Blue Devil 89 says, great confidence building for DH8. Yes, absolutely. Really great for Darren to get this opportunity here in this game. Happy that his teammates were able to set him up for this opportunity in this game. And most importantly, he took advantage of it, because a lot of times, you get an opportunity like this and you don't necessarily take, not maybe a lot of times, but sometimes you don't take advantage of it. And Darren certainly did, and really happy for him. Joe M., it's gone by too fast. It sure has, Joe. It sure has. If it doesn't feel that long ago that we were, in December, when we had those long breaks in between games and after the Michigan State game, of course, and all of a sudden it's like just 3 games left in the regular season. I can't believe how fast this has gone. Josh Green, in the wise words of Kevin Brown, that was a thorough thumping. A win Saturday against Virginia feels like it would seal another ACC title. It's a good segue for a couple of things. Thank you, Josh. One, I don't know about you guys. I really like Kevin Brown as a play-by-play guy. I just wish he was not paired with Corey Alexander. It felt like a couple of times during that broadcast that those two guys were not getting along. And I think Kevin Brown does a great job. And I used to like, I don't know if that is a controversial opinion, but I used to like Corey in the past couple of seasons. I don't know if he's doing so much NBA stuff or what it is, but it's become a bit of a tough listen. And yeah, Saturday, we are playing for the ACC regular season title. So that will be great motivation for this Duke team going up against undoubtedly the second best team so far in the ACC in terms of the win-loss record. And those are going to be the number 1 and 2 teams based off of how, unless Virginia really collapses down the stretch, they are going to finish 1 and 2. We'll just find out what that order is going to be on Saturday, most likely. Laura says, I was really hoping that NC State would beat Virginia so that Virginia would be 2 games instead of 1 behind Duke. I guess Duke will have to take care of business for themselves. I was thinking this could be like Clemson was a couple weeks ago, where we thought it was going to be a couple of teams tied atop the ACC, and then Clemson stumbled and has continued stumbling. But Virginia is a really good team. They're an older team. They can spread you out. They've got 2 shot blockers in Grunlow and Onyenso, and I'll definitely break that down more once we get to the preview for that game on Thursday. But really looking forward to that one Saturday afternoon. Jeremy Farrell. What's going on, Jeremy? Duke crush Notre Dame. I hate that Malik Brown didn't score any points, but Cam Boozer played 24 minutes and scored 24 points. That's crazy. Harris did a good job. I know Shire is happy. You had Boozer a point a minute, and then you had Gangba and Harris basically a point a minute. The offensive production in this one was off the charts from the Blue Devils. Joe M, that halftime talk was so hype. Shows how much they care about winning and holding each other accountable. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, it said it all that whole clip, you didn't hear from any of the coaches. In a game of that magnitude, I just think, again, says a lot about the caliber. Maybe I didn't say this before, but it says a lot about the caliber of the people. Forget the basketball players, but the people on this team. I mean, Isaiah Evans, we know that guy likes to have a lot of fun, but that said a lot to me about what he is as a person. Like, he is a really, not just a good person, but a guy who holds his teammates accountable in a very positive way. And that was just great to see. Jeremy says, I love this Duke Talk. Subscribe to this channel. Appreciate that, Jeremy. And then Joe continuing, if you can be honest with your team like that, you can fully trust them to be there for you to win. Yes. Monk Sambu, obviously nitpicking when we won by 44, but our offense struggles when Cam and Slim are on the bench. Also, Pat can't be committing silly fouls. It's like he fouls instead of trying harder on defense. Fair. Listen, I mentioned the fouls before. Going to your point on the offense, I completely agree. I feel like when Cam's on the bench, Slim has to be on the court. And I think that's why in the Michigan game, when Cam went to the bench, we had Slim come in for Caden because we needed a little bit more offensive punch, even though it wasn't Slim's best offensive game. I think part of it, frankly, was Shire saying this is an opportunity for these guys to work, and try to figure out, can they find some sort of offensive flow in a game where they had such a big lead. But yeah, our offense is not very good without those two guys on the court. And the one thing I would probably slightly disagree with you on with Pat is that I felt like especially Pat's second foul this game, and I can't say I remember the third and fourth quite as well because we were up by 30. I wasn't necessarily locked in. But I feel like the second one, he should have just let the guy go. He had him beat. He already had one foul. 2 points is not going to kill Duke. 2 fouls on Pat is going to be a much bigger problem. And so I think it's just about weighing the opportunity cost of giving up a bucket versus his second foul. So I think that could be better. Jeremy, JD's just fine. He was just traveling, going on a little bit of a family trip. He will be back for the preview on Thursday. Lando Man, how did these guys bring Virginia to OT? What a spanking. It's a very good question. I mean, they probably had Harrelson for that game. That probably helped. I mean, that does help. Harrelson's a good player. Harrelson would have helped the margin not be quite as big. I'm not counting Burton because he's basically been out for the season. I don't think he's even played in conference play. But I think this also is a hard matchup for Harrelson, who's not a three-point shooter. To score inside against Duke is a tough task for somebody who's more of a wing than a big man. Let's see. Yeah, Joe, I'm talking about the gap in three-point percentages. See Foss and Cam around 40%, Evans 35, Nick and DH 35, Caden 32, Sard 31, Pat 26, Malik at 14. Jack Scott's 100%. Gotta get him more minutes, man. Gotta get our guy Jack Scott into the game. Love the steal that he had, man. But also, as you guys all know, like Evans's shot difficulty and volume is just completely different than everyone else on this team. Um, but I still want to see him be a little bit more efficient as we get into the final stretch here. Crazy to say. Crazy to say. Laura, appreciate that message. Yeah, it's going to be fun watching the guys in the NBA. We're definitely going to be doing some more Duke in the NBA stuff as we get to the end of this season. Joe M, these DH minutes will be huge for his confidence if any of our guards get into foul trouble in the tournament. It looked like we were getting close to guard foul trouble against the Michigan game, and then it was a Chicago first regiment. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, you never know. You never know. I mean, I still can't believe going into that Michigan game, I would have bet that the guys in foul trouble would have been Pat and Malik, and what do you know? It was C. Foss and Slim. It's crazy how things work out sometimes. Clarence, we are ready for Virginia. Can't wait. Neither can I. Should have said this earlier, but let me know what your guys' favorite plays were from this one. I think I mentioned this before. For me, it was the Malik block with his elbow. It made me laugh in real time, and then once I saw the replay, I laughed again. I didn't realize he got it with his elbow. The guy is just a freak of nature in terms of a defender, and I really hope he keeps shooting the threes in limited attempts, especially in games like this, because I want Malik to play in the NBA, and I think it's going to be tough for him to play as a center in the NBA, and so I think he will positionally be a forward, power forward, and if he can knock down like a corner three, at a respectable low 30 percentage, his defense will get him playing time in the NBA. So really rooting for Malik. Blue Devil 89. Speaking of Malik, 10 boards, 3 steals. Yeah, we are. I feel like we are ready. Laura says, my favorite thing about Notre Dame is the young man who is their leprechaun. He is very entertaining. It's my favorite mascot, the only one who doesn't have to wear the head. Yes, that's a good point. That is a good point. He was even still very into the game at the end, which credit to him. To me would have been very hard to do, but he was still very engaged. So good for him. Yeah, Joe M saying Corey pushing back against Brown during the Player of the Year talk. He also pushed back against Brown when he said that if UCF, who are they playing tonight? I forgot who. Let me look that up. Who's UCF playing tonight? It is he was saying if UCF beats BYU that they'd be in even if they lost out the rest of the season. And I agree. They would be 20-7 at that point with wins over Texas Tech and BYU and Kansas. So a few good quad one wins. I remember when we played them in the exhibition game, not feeling great about our performance, but boy, has that aged well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but it was a strange dynamic, to say the least. And yeah, I think there's certainly debate about who's going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft, and AJ Debonsa he's playing great for BYU, playing much better than he was earlier this season, last 10 games really. But Cam Boozer's National Player of the Year. I think he could sit out the remainder of the season and he would still get it probably unanimously. It's just not close. Jeremy Farrell, Duke season moving so fast. I'm hoping to score 100. I'm happy, to score 100. I was looking for a 100. Yeah, it was nice. That was the only thing left to really root for at that point. Chris W. Stay humble, team. Swipers keep swiping. Pat decided to play lazy defense and use hands and arms instead of feet. Wasn't locked in. Yeah, there's certainly some of that. It didn't. Yeah, the locked in part. I think I agree with that part in terms of, especially the ones he committed early in the second half. Like it seemed like he I think I saw Laura say something about like they're bored offensively. I almost wonder if that was the case for him defensively. Like he just wasn't engaged to the level like we've seen him, especially like the Michigan game. So it's interesting. Um, Joe M. The other team could just pack the paint because it seems like that's where Duke can get good looks. Glad you brought that up, Joe. Notre Dame, for a brief, very brief period of time, went to a zone, and Duke missed a couple of shots, and then they just abandoned the zone. Um, I brought that up probably a few weeks ago, and I'm wondering why teams don't do that more often, but I think there's a couple of things happening now that will make that more difficult for other teams. One has been happening the whole year, quite frankly, and that's Duke's ability to get offensive rebounds. It's always tougher in a zone to rebound. Duke saw that a little bit when we went to the zone. When Gongwa was in the game with his 4 fouls, I think that was in part to try out the zone, but also I think more so to keep Pat from committing his 5th foul there. But I'm surprised. I am surprised other teams don't do that more. I know we're shooting the 3 better. That's the other point of late, which makes it a little bit more difficult to play the zone against us. And I thought our ball movement, man, there's just some beautiful passing throughout this game. There's the one sequence early on in the game where we have these scripted plays, and it was like Sar coming around the baseline and then stopped, set the screen for Slim, who came up, and I think there's another screen, maybe Cam set it, and then he typically would take that pin down screen 3, but instead, nice pocket pass to Cam, who could have went up for a contested layup, decided not to, passed it to Pat in midair, and then Pat got the easy 2. And there was just probably like 7 or 8 plays like that in the first half where it just felt like the ball movement from this team was just really connected. It was just a real treat to watch. Let's go Duke. Great game. We were lucky to have Cam Boozer. What a talent. Awesome to see the team displaying their talent. And hold on here. Relentless energy. Harris played great. Malik Brown will score a 3 when we need it most. Good call out there. Let's go Duke. I still remember those 3s he hit, as I'm sure a lot of you do, against North Carolina last year. Those were some big 3s that he hit, some clutch 3s. As Laura says, swiper keeps swiping. And Joe, I'd love to see Malik in the NBA. He's such a fun player to watch. Let's go Duke. I did appreciate Corey mocking all the ridiculous tourney bubble talk. UCF is a tourney team. Yeah, I understand where Corey was coming from in terms of like they just all the talk about who's on the bubble. Blah, blah, blah. Like I know some of that they just got to get clicks, etc. But I did think Kevin's point was right. Like UCF is a tourney team, so it was just a weird point of contention for me. Alice J, chat, who's y'all favorite player this year on the team? Theirs is Slim. I mean, yeah. Slim is a lot of fun. Slim is a lot of fun. For me it's Malik. I just have so much fun watching him play defense. And going back for me like a couple of years where it was we had Derek Lively, who I still remember. He won us. I forgot which game it was, whether it was the home game or the away game, but I think it was the first game of the series against North Carolina, and he scored 4 points, and I think he had like 7 blocks or something, and was far and away the best player on the court and scored 4 points. It was just unbelievable. And Malik does it in a completely different way. But watching him play defense is just such a treat. Joe says Baylor has been holding a lead over Arizona for over 10 minutes now. Let's check on that one. Baylor is up 37-28 at the under 4 minute mark here. Baylor can get it going offensively. I am surprised that Mo Krivas has 2 points. I'm not. Maybe they're trapping. I don't know, but I would think that Krivas has a huge size advantage over Caden Powell, who is 6'9". They've been playing some minutes with really like 6'8" guys as their biggest guy, and Awaka, they are getting out rebounded 15-9. Crazy for Arizona there. Um, man, let's see. Let's go Duke. Cephas is my favorite player. Gravitated toward him last year with all the criticism, and his leadership is sound. Cephas has done a great job, and yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Let's go Duke. Like at the end of last year, with all the criticism, I was really impressed by how Foster responded to the end of last season. He got the DNP there with, I think it was like the Wake Forest game at home. And then I thought he really played great defense down the stretch of the season. And I'm really happy for him because 98% of players in college basketball would have transferred. 99% of players would have transferred after the season they had last year, where you're expecting to be a starter and you don't end up as a starter and your minutes dwindle. And this guy not only came back to Duke, but became an integral piece in what is now the number one team in the country. Pretty crazy. Joe M says, tough for him to pick a favorite. Slim's fun character to watch. I love the shimmies. I love all the celebrations from Slim. He's in the post-game interviews and stuff. He's just a fun guy, but also loves Malik. Alish J says, once we hopped out to 16-4, I knew it was over. Yeah, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Ethan Troop, what's going on, Ethan? I love how at the end of the game, Jack Scott looked to the bench and asked to shoot, and the assistant coaches was waving their hands no demonstrably. Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny too because Cam was like, shoot it. And then you had Dame. You had Dame getting into the "Let's Go Duke" chants. He was having a good time. It was good. It was good for the guys to have a good time at the end of that game. Get back to Durham, lock in. Won't have to travel, much at all over the next week or really 10 days, which is nice. Actually, longer than that because the ACC tournament is in North Carolina. So no more plane trips for the foreseeable future for the Blue Devils. So they've been really good on the road, though. So I don't know if I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm sure they're not complaining, but it'll be good. It'll be good to get some home cooking here. Laura says, you should have saw the young man who's the leprechaun last season at the ACC tournament. More entertaining to watch than the bottom teams in the tournament. I completely believe you because, boy, I mean, this Notre Dame team is fighting to get into the ACC tournament. And I think, based off that performance, it'd probably be best for viewers if they were not in the tournament there. Yeah, Michigan is in. I'm just looking ahead here at who said that. Let me get the credit right. Blue Devil. Hey, yeah, Minnesota is hanging in there with Michigan there. It's a 5-point game with 15 minutes to go. Michigan is under 500. So the other top three teams are, not having great nights, but I do anticipate both those teams will get the leads and end up winning their respective games. Let's see. Joe M. It was the Duke home game against UNC for Lively. Thank you, Joe. And then RW Forsh. I love that Malik is getting those threes up. Excited to see the next one go in. Let it fly. Leak. Yes, let it fly. Let it fly. It just makes the defense, even they're not going in. I get it. And there's a time and a place for sure. And Malik understands that, which is why I never have a problem 95% of the time with when he shoots them. but just makes the defense have to respect you more. And then, like I said before, I really want the long-term success of a guy like Malik Brown. A few more here. Laura says, I think the only reason that Caleb had that DNP was because it was senior night and Shire was letting those who were seniors and grad students get playing time. I honestly don't think it was on purpose. Probably not. It's a good call out, Laura. But overall, still the trend at the end of last season was his minutes were diminishing. And then after that, they started to uptick slightly, and I really felt like he found something with his defense at the end of last year that he's really carried into this year, and I know you know that very well as the leader of the Caleb Foster bandwagon there. And TGNC with our last comment of the evening, Virginia destroyed NC State 90-61. I gotta watch that one tomorrow. It was during the same time as our game here this evening. I saw on Twitter there's like a little bit of a scuffle as well. NC State is well, I'll save that for later, but I'll just say this: they're not my favorite group of guys when I watch them play. But big win for Virginia coming into this game against Duke, the top two teams in the ACC. Good for them, and it sets up what is going to be a fantastic game Saturday afternoon. And yeah, Blue Devil, they're our second most points in this game. I appreciate everybody joining me this evening. We'll be back with JD Thursday for the preview of the Virginia game. And yeah, Wes, just catching that one. Yeah, I am sure NC State's going to play the game of their lives when we play them in Raleigh. It just feels like that is the case almost every year, and I anticipate that being the case this year. We'll see. It's a underrated gauntlet. Underrated gauntlet. Yeah, Copeland, Williams. I don't know. They're. I wouldn't love them if they were on my team. I'll say that. Will Wade, I respect he's very honest, but I wouldn't want him as my coach. He's honest with his approach. So, yeah, we'll be back Thursday for the Virginia preview. And these games are coming. They're going to be coming hot and fast here. And then I am sure Caleb Wilson will be back, and I want him to be back for that North Carolina game at the end of the season. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody. Until next time, peace.